Chris Cuomo here. Thank you for joining the Chris Cuomo Project. I know why Donald Trump won. I, as you know, believed it was his race to lose. And that's not because I know something that's special. It's because I refused to ignore what was obvious. And now there are lessons, there are realities, there are truths that people are not telling you. Thank you for subscribing and following. Thank you for liking and commenting. But that's not what it is about today. I know it's too soon. I know people are upset. I know they're scared. I know they're worried about this prospect. By the way, I've seen this on both sides in elections. I've lived it myself, watching people I care about lose elections, like my father. I've known it myself in terms of going down publicly, seeing people celebrate it, and having to figure out what to do about it. You need to respect the pain, okay? When Biden beat Trump, there was pain. And not just because they lost. This is not a football game, okay? I know we treat it like that. I know we've cheapened it that way. I know we've allowed these two parties to run us down and divide us and do us dirty, to be honest. But the reason they're able to succeed is because there are real concerns and dynamics that people are desperate to have addressed. So, what do we now know? Well, we have a new president. We have control in the Senate and maybe the House all by one party. That means that Donald Trump is going to have an unusual mandate. Now, even if the Democrats eke out the House, you're going to have a president having been elected with a pretty big mandate. What will he do with it? If he has control of both houses of Congress, he'll get one big thing done. If he doesn't, I don't know. We'll have to see. And a lot of it will be about how he carries himself and how he uses this time. But that's not what I want to talk to you about. That's easy, okay? And media people and experts trying to explain to you how this happened is easy and largely useless, and I'll take you through why. Oh, I spoke to Professor Alan Lichtman, okay? He got it wrong. He has to figure out why. And I'm not going to traffic in mocking him. That man cares. He put together something that's worked at worst 9 out of 11 times. And he is now figuring out what it was that didn't calibrate. And I think it's going to come down to how he views the economy in an election. And that in this election, the perception of the economy was absolutely more influential than the reality of the economy. How so? The perception is things are too expensive. That is true, but two things can be true at once. Things are not as expensive as they were, and they're not as expensive as they could be because we are an economy in recovery. And if you look at the rest of the world, America is doing a lot better when it comes to consumer price index and inflation than a lot of other places. But we're not in a lot of other places. We're in this place. And when your pocket hurts, that's enough. That's not what's captured in the keys, but that is what was captured in this election. So the right, the people who won, feel good about it. Don't mock people's pain, though. You know what it's like to be on the other side and to think that the country has been taken away from you and taken away from your concerns and taken away from what you care about. And Donald Trump is uniquely that figure because he plays to division. And people have a right. And it makes sense that they would be afraid of what he could mean, given what he has said and what he has done. But what happened is not a surprise. And even though it is too soon, when you care, you've got to talk about it. And now is the time. If not now, when? It's the same thing like when we have a shooting that you guys care about for 5 minutes and everyone says, it's too soon. Don't talk about why it happened. We have to. That's the only time people care. Similarly, that's where we are. Now, I want to break it down into a few different pieces that I'm not hearing anywhere else. The first one deals with News Nation. Decision Desk HQ called everything first last night that mattered. North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, the Senate, and of course, the presidential election. Why? Two reasons. One is good, one is very bad. What's the good reason? Scott Tranter and his team at DDHQ, they do a good job. They did their homework in advance. They didn't make the same mistakes that a lot of pollsters do. They were open to realities of what they didn't know and who wasn't getting captured in past cycles and adjusting for that. They did a good job, but they're not the only ones who do a good job. So why were they so early? Because News Nation wasn't afraid of saying the truth. News Nation did not have a preference. And you could see it in a lot of other outlets. It wasn't just that they delayed. There's nothing wrong with delaying because the only sin on election night is being wrong. Okay? I have never wanted to be first. My goal last night was not to be the first journalist in America to say that Donald Trump will be the 47th president of the United States. But I was. Why? Because it didn't matter to me if it's him or if it's Harris. I didn't have a preference. Yeah, but you should have. No, that's your job. Your job is to have a preference. My job is to be open to both and be fair to both and to accept the process as it is. Look, all you had to do was surf around and see how upset people were. All right, we get it. You wanted Harris to win. You should have known that she wasn't going to. That's a different question. The problem is that you wanted her to win and you weren't transparent about that. And you saw that last night. And now a lot of that same media is going to try to rehabilitate themselves by telling you how this happened and burying you in demos and other people to blame. Don't blame other voters. Just like you, the people who decided this election voted on a head and heart meld. They were guided by their pocket and self-interest. And that interest of the self had an overlay of the world around them as well as the economic reality. This is not an unusual coupling in elections. As Carville brilliantly put it, it's the economy stupid. But it's the economy micro, your economy, your pocket, your perception, okay? Now, I will go through what matters about how this happened, but I'll give you the headline. Don't blame Black and Latino men, okay? Blame them for what exactly? Considering their own economic realities for themselves and their families? That would be weird. For not being aware that there is systemic racism and bias and that there are those who have run them down for what and who they are? Do you think they don't know that? So is it that they didn't get that they needed to be woke and put that as a priority? Is it that they didn't understand that they were supposed to see Trump as what he was being painted as at his worst, which is the next Hitler? You don't think that was part of the problem for Harris and the left? That Trump's reasonable consideration had been skewed by extreme ideas? You don't need to tell minorities what it's like to be a minority in America. They voted their self-interest. And in politics, and the left should get this because you're asking people to get it about what you care about. In politics, if you tell people they are wrong to feel how they feel, you lose. Again, in politics, if you tell people they are wrong to feel how they feel, you lose. Want an example? Last night. Want another example? My father, when he was discussing Walter Mondale's chances against President Reagan, 1980 or whatever it was, 84, I don't know, whatever it was. He said, people blame the government, people blame things, and it's the politician's job to sell them on it because he can't tell them the truth. The truth is, you don't like your tax burden? Make more money. Be more valuable to the economy. Have better skills so that you can make more and then the taxes won't bother you that much. You'll never hear a politician say that to you. Why? Because part of this craft is giving people something to blame for themselves. When they feel a certain way, you have two options. You feed it, or you feed them something else that can make them feel differently. But when you choose to tell them they are wrong to feel how they feel, you lose, and that played out. Things are too expensive. Yeah, but the economy overall is pretty good. They didn't feel it. You are forcing new social norms on people in this country. No, I'm not. We're just doing what's fair. Trans people have rights too. Yes. But if it's communicated as if you must be forced to accept and be indoctrinated with ideas that you do not share, is that fair? That's not what we were doing. That's how they felt you were treating them about it. That's the women in sports thing. It's not that it happens a lot, like immigrant crime. It's not that it happens a lot. It's that the fact that it happens at all to them is a gross violation of norms and unacceptable. And you find it okay. And they believe that that is wokeism run amok. What is woke? They don't even know what it is. Here's what they believe it is. And it just won the presidential election. The economy won the presidential election, and concerns that all go under the umbrella of wokeism, which to people who voted for Trump is a set of ideas that messes with traditional values, but more importantly, new ideas that are being forced on them to make their own, even if they don't agree. Like what? It can be immigration and the idea of an open border. We don't have an open border, but it does meet that suggestion. And politics is about hyperbole. Politics is about persuasion. Politics is about using perception as a hedge against reality, and perception generally wins. So when you undo what was working and allow people to flood through, you feed into the idea that you want it that way. And then you get the great replacement theory and all this other bullshit. But it is an extension of what they see as wokeism. Yes, it's also national security. It's also immigration on its own. But it is this exaggerated liberalism, this exaggerated laxity, this exaggerated relaxing of law and order for some other value system. Trans is that. Censorship is that. You don't get to say that. How many people are going to take little bits of what I've already said and spin it out of context to make me some kind of Harris hater, which I'm not. She was put in a really tough position. She had the tougher case to make. Or that I don't get race, or that I'm white and privileged. And all of this is a perceived extension of wokeism run amok. That you don't get to say things. Sure, you don't get to say things without consequence. I actually think we've gone too far away from this as a consequence for certain things. I think social media has warped our sense of decency and made us think that we can just insult people down to the core of who they are and what they're about and not expect to get smacked in the face. And then people will say, well, you have to be more evolved and civilized than that. But we're not evolved and civilized. We're completely indecent. We're constantly insulting. We're constantly manipulating. We're constantly perverting what is normal and natural and obvious. But a punch in the nose is indecent, is too much. We're better than that. The fuck we're better than that. Look where we are. Look, we have divided ourselves over boogeymen. You have real enemies that want to kill you. That was not even discussed in this election. And the only time we do discuss it, we discuss what to call them. Don't just say Muslims. Okay, that's fair. Well, don't say extreme Muslims. You have to say it's not Islamic terror. It's extreme Islamist terror. Why don't you spend as much energy fighting the problem as defining the language? PC is way too much P and not enough C. That is an extension of wokeism. You don't have to agree, but it just beats your ass in a way that you are shocked by. Support for the Chris Cuomo Project comes from Everyday Dose. Say hello to the next generation of a cafe. Everyday Dose. I use it. I even dig the bag. It's got this kind of trippy, psychedelic, shimmery star thing going on. Everyday Dose combines coffee, but it's not all coffee. That's the combines part. Functional mushrooms, nootropics, collagen protein. Why do you want all that stuff? Focus, clarity, energy, sleep, not just caffeine. Also helps boost immunity. It ups your coffee game. I dig it. I use it. I put it right in my coffee maker, by the way. Head over to everydaydose.com/Chris and you will get 25% off plus 5 free gifts with your first order. The first month you get a USB rechargeable frother, works well. Gunmetal Dose Spoon, works good, and I can bang my son on the head with it. Breathwork app by Othership. Wellness booklet and sticker every month after you get amazing free gifts with your order. So go to everydaydose.com/Chris, get 25% off plus 5 free gifts with your first order. Support for the Chris Cuomo Project comes from Factor. Notice how the days are shorter, but the to-do lists keep getting longer? What are you supposed to do? Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Man, I gotta tell you, as we have gotten into the macro game and people are worried about the quality of their nutrition, you gotta start looking at Factor. Breakfast to dinner, anything in between, Factor has easy, nutritious options to keep you fueled and feeling your best. You want your routine, or you want to mix it up, it doesn't matter. Factor has you covered. They got 35 different delicious meals every week and over 60 additional convenience options that you can add to your box. Like what? Keto cookies, pressed juices, smoothies. So don't let the shorter days slow you down. Stay energized. America's #1 ready-to-eat meal service is Factor. Head to factormeals.com/Cuomo50 and use the code Cuomo50 and you'll get 50% off your first box, 20% off your next month. That's code Cuomo50 at factormeals.com/Cuomo50, 50% off your first box, 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. They can show you all these different little bar graphs of what the numbers were. Again, you want to know? Here's the answer. Democrats underperformed. Trump performed or overperformed. Harris was not an impressive candidate, but she's better than Trump. She wasn't just running against Trump. She was running against a movement of grievance, of the status quo that she owns on her watch, that she embodies as a person, that she provokes with how she presents. Now, is some of that race, gender? Yeah, I think so. Whether it's overt or implicit. Yeah, I do. I think it's part of the choice structure for Clinton and for her, Hillary. All right, but you got to build that in. You got to build it in. And them saying she was a DEI hire. Do I think that's fair? No, but you set her up for it by the process. Perception is reality. But she's the better person. It's not like that. She represents things that they value more than Trump's personality. The people who vote for Trump, they may laugh at him, they may celebrate him, they may idolize him, but they're not him. And not just because they're not wealthy, a lot of them are. They don't talk like him. They don't treat people like him. They don't do the things that he does. Well, then why would they vote for him? One, because they hate something else more than they reject him, and he hates what they hate. He says he wants to change what they want to change. and she represents what they want to change. Now, Bernie Sanders says, what'd you think was going to happen? The Democrats abandoned the working person. It was white people. Now it's Black and Latino workers as well. Is there truth in that? Yes, but it's also more complicated. The why matters. On economics, it is on your watch when they are feeling pain. Okay, we get that. We get that. Any candidate's going to have problems with that. But there is this culture overlay. These people are part of a populist movement and a guy whose cabal has policies that don't benefit them as a priority. They are getting trickled down in a populist movement. Why? Because they have been deceived about these cultural boogeymen that the left has helped empower. DEI, immigration, transgender, censorship, lawfare. Oh yeah, but he did all those things. But we've never seen anyone prosecuted for the kinds of things that he is so much, so extremely. Especially those 2 New York cases that I've talked about plenty. And now they're pushing to sentence him. They didn't learn the lesson. DEI. So DEI is a bad thing, diversity, equity, inclusion? Hell no, it's not. I think it's a sacred responsibility in America to embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think our institutions should look like our country. How you do that matters. Allowing people the perception that it's not based on merit matters. And that's why Trump won. It's very basic. A lot of people felt pain that is on her watch. A lot of people were upset about the border and about these cultural boogeymen, and she is on the wrong side of those issues. Now, here's the problem for the left to think about. She underperformed Biden almost everywhere. Why? I say almost, I know, but don't cite me the exceptions. Look at the trend. She underperformed. Why? Would Biden have done better? Now, I think the snap answer to that is no, because his capacity was too much in question. Why did she underperform then? You got to figure that out. And I have a way to help you. But I'm telling you, do not buy this Black men and Latino men. They were taking care of their needs on the economy and to keep the people they care about safe. And you take the economy and you take the border and you take the overlay of these other suggestions of priorities and what's normal and what's not, and you see why that movement beat the left. Yeah, but Trump, I know, but I keep telling you, it's about more than him. If they had picked Nikki Haley, you would have gotten spanked in even worse fashion. You still haven't seen how the many feel co-opted by the few. LGBTQ plus community matters to me. I think America is about defending the minority, protecting them in a way that other places don't. That's why we were founded. People coming here as others, fearing persecution and judgment. But how you do it matters. And the idea that you are putting the minority above the majority is an easy sell in today's America. Yeah, but it's not true. Welcome to politics. It's about perception. It's about facts and feelings. Look, I have to be right. And it's not because hindsight's 2020. It's because of what you just saw happen. Why did Trump win if he's so flawed? Because America's racist. I don't buy it. Do we have racism in America? Come on. What more rhetorical question is there than that? But to say that everybody who voted last night for Donald Trump is a racist? Not all Trumpers are racist, but all racists are Trumpers. Okay. Even if that's true, that's not one move away from you winning last night. They're just not enough of them. Who are all these other people? He may have won the popular vote. You know how rare that is with the registration advantage that Democrats have in this country? And I believe they have that registration advantage for good reason, not because of some replacement theory. It's because that party had been the party of the working man and woman and their fundamentals and not catering to elite and discrete concerns. Well, what is an elite or discrete concern? The ones that I outlined. Things that affect the few that are being forced on the many. Too bad. I know, and now you get the too bad. Another big thing. Reproductive rights. Reproductive rights did not manifest itself as a priority in this country the way I thought it would. Why not? I don't know. We're going to have to hear from women. We're going to have to think about it. Some of the suggestions that have been given me is we're assuming that an abortion is that big a deal for women in the matrix of their concerns about their lives versus the economy versus the security of their family versus crime. Maybe, but I also think that's about the narrative of how the issue was described, because it's not just about abortion. But maybe that was the sell, and that's why women didn't come out the way they could have. Or it's while they may have wanted to come out about that, there were competing issues with that demotivated them. And part of that is candidates matter. You can say what you want about Trump. Harris, I got all this heat for saying now she's female Black Jesus. That wasn't a dig at Black people. I was talking about Democrats. And I was referencing how Obama had once been described as Black Jesus because of how powerful he was in his persuasion and how he killed it in his election. He won by almost 10 million votes in his first election. If anything, it's a compliment. It's not derisive. I'm an ally of minority causes as a member of the majority, as someone who's privileged, as someone who has the empowerment of type and place. I have a platform. And I use it to help people who don't have that platform, including Black people, including women, perversely seeing how they're the majority of both our society and our electorate. So here, this deep in, I have touched on what is going on and what you need to adjust. Support for the Chris Cuomo Project comes from Shopify. Now, here's why we all need this. I'm trying to sell my free agent gear, right? But how? How do I get it out to people? How do I make sure that it is an efficient and accelerated process to manage my inventory, the transactions, and just where I'm putting them and how I'm getting them? That's Shopify. Shop Pay is their product, and it boosts conversions, meaning the rate of people seeing my offer to buy versus actually transacting. They can boost it up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned. So upgrade your business and get the same checkout Untuckit uses. Sign up for your $1 a month trial period at shopify.com/ChrisC. All lowercase, Chris C. Go to shopify.com/ChrisC. Upgrade your selling today. Where? Shopify.com/ChrisC. Support for the Chris Cuomo Project comes from Oracle. Even if you think it's a bit overhyped, and I don't, AI is going to be all over. Whether it's self-driving cars, molecular medicine, business efficiency, anywhere, AI needs a lot of speed and computing power. So how do you compete without costs going crazy? Time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OCI. OCI is blazing fast, and it's a secure platform for your infrastructure, your database, application development, plus all your AI and machine learning workloads. OCI costs 50% less for computing and 80% less for networking. So you're going to save money. Thousands of businesses have already upgraded to OCI, including MGM Resorts, Specialized Bikes, and Fireworks AI. And they're offering to cut your current cloud bill in half if you move to OCI for new U.S. customers with minimum financial commitment. Offer ends 12/31/24. See if your company qualifies for this special offer. Just go to oracle.com/CCP for the Chris Cuomo Project. Support for the Chris Cuomo Project comes from GetMainLobster.com. I got to tell you, it's the holidays. Nothing ups your game, nothing shows you care like surf and turf. And you cannot have surf and turf if you don't have the lobster in play. Now, look, I wanted it. They sent it. It was fresh. It was delicious. It was easy, okay? And look, let's be honest. You can get a lot of things a lot of places. When you're thinking lobster, here I am in New York. We have a robust lobster game, but it ain't Maine. Use the promo code QUOMO, C-U-O-M-O. You'll get 15% off all orders store-wide. That's right. 15% off to help you create those unforgettable holiday moments with joy and taste. So why wait? Treat yourself, treat your loved ones, get that taste of Maine in your mouth. Make new memories, celebrate the beauty of togetherness. GetMainLobster.com. If you go to GetMainLobster.com, don't forget to use the promo code QUOMO and you will get 15% off all orders store-wide. Now is the big part. There are 3 questions. I've talked to you about this before. Norman Lear suggested them to my brother-in-law, who passed them on to me, and they were very helpful for me in my own process of dealing with getting kicked in the nuts, smacked in the face, and thrown down a flight of stairs. And it is a psychological, behavioral assessment and correction model. It's 3 questions that everybody needs to be asking themselves right now. Because I got to tell you something. You think that the burden is on the left. Oh, no. No. Trump has the burden. What will he do with this mandate? Because he's got his side that wants him to do nothing but burn it all down, because that's what he's been talking. And he can't do that, and he shouldn't do that. He pushed the division as much as anybody, and now he has to unify. And I will give him that opportunity. Believe him who he is the first time. I don't have that luxury. He has won an election fair and square. Thank God, in a secular democracy, that it worked. And I know it would have been him who would have complained. And he started off kind of complaining with bullshit early on yesterday. But it held. And it was decisive and relatively quick, thanks to News Nation. DDHQ. But again, I'm telling you, it wasn't just the quantitative side, it was the qualitative side. News Nation did not have a preference of outcome, so we didn't stall as others did. Yes, haste makes waste. Yes, it's better to wait. Yes, it's better to be careful. But I'm telling you, listening to the guys and why they made the call when they did, others didn't choose it, at least in part because they didn't want to. Here are the 3 questions. What? So what? Now what? What is the derivation of these? Look up the name Rolfe, R-O-L-F-E, and you'll see his apportionment model and where it comes from. Here's how it works. What just happened? What did you observe? Why did it happen? Okay? And that is all of your metrics and who won. But let me tell you, it's easy with this because every demographic ran away. Remember I said it's Trump's race to lose. He can lose it because of how much downside there is to him. But at the end of the day, it's, are there more people on the right willing to peel away from him despite what they're bothered by? Or are there more people on the left willing to peel away from her because of what they're bothered by? Or that they're not going to show up, and they didn't show up. That's why she lost. Democrat underperformance. Why? Because she was playing Trump's game of which and what and who is worse. And in a battle of grievance, that was his race to lose. He had an advantage. And that's what happened. Okay, so that's what happened. So what? Now, to me, This is the first one is the least important to me because you know what happened. Why it happened is only as important as you decide to change. So what? What does it mean? What does it mean? The left has to look at its posture on culture issues, censorship, how DEI is articulated and executed, immigration, how it is articulated and executed. Of course, discrete issues of identity also. You are fighting the right fight, the good fight, in my estimation, of protecting the rights of the few. But you cannot do that by forcing it as a norm on the many. You have to respect and give rights and privileges to gay people. You do not have to make people think they need to be gay. I don't care if people are gay. I don't care if my kids are gay. I love my kids. I would worry for them, depending on where they're going to live, because there is prejudice. We've come a distance, but we're not where we need to be. But I don't say that everybody should be gay. Why? Because you don't do that with people. You don't tell them who and how to be. You make them accepting of others. There's a big difference between saying, I'm going to teach your kid that it's okay if they want to change their gender. That's tricky business with children. And it pissed people off. Too bad. You lost because of it. So think about it. That's the so what. Why did this happen? The many, no matter what's going on social media, no matter how easy it is to cancel, no matter how much the media caters to magnified minorities, that silent majority is a real thing. There is an outsized population in this country that is watching and will act when forced. And not in a bad way necessarily, but in a way that is reflective of the majority. And that's what just happened. And I'm telling you, it does not mean that this country is more like Trump than it's like Kamala Harris. I do not believe that. It's that his concerns that he was riding on matter to more than how it was put by the left, that he was the ultimate threat. People saw things as more threatening than him. People saw conditions, policies, and circumstances as more threatening than him. It felt forced and extreme and exaggerated. And now is the hard and most important part. Now what? My answer is, my job is to be fair. That's my job. Do I like Donald Trump? No. He came after me and my family, weaponized me, made life hard for my kids, deceived people about who and what I am. He's not alone in that, but he's the president. But I got to be fair. Someone trying to shooting him in the head, not good. Shouldn't be ignored. Shouldn't be mocked. Shouldn't be mitigated in a way that it never would have been had it been Biden or Harris. The concerns that people have and why they voted for him are legitimate and real. And a lot of his voters are not like him. So I have to be fair to them and to their concerns and the policies they want enforced and the policies they want put into place and the policies they want rejected. And I got to be a better person. I got to say fuck less. No, it's not about that. It's about the substance of who I am and how I treat people. I'm not going to give what I get on social media anymore. I'm not going to do it. It helps nothing. It's satisfying to me. It tickles me as an alpha male and somebody who actually wants confrontation, is comfortable with violence. But that's not the best part of me. And that's not what we need. We're too harsh. We're too angry. We're too volatile. We're too reactive. That's me. I'm going to work on being somebody who is constantly pushing better. Yeah, I get what's wrong with him. I get what's wrong with them. I get what's wrong with her. What are you doing that will make it better? That is going to be the most common question that I ask here and on any platform I have, wherever I am. What are you doing to make it better? And I'm going to police that like a mofo. What are you going to do? Now, you know who's got the toughest one to answer on that? Not the Democrats, because they're going to be the out party now. They're going to be in react mode. It's a much easier place. Yes, the incumbent has advantages, but there are advantages on the outside also. Look, Trump lost in 2020. He won now. Why? It was largely the same basket of issues. One was on his watch, one wasn't. Donald Trump has the toughest question to answer. You won. You won by scaring people. You won by dividing people. You won by exaggerating the problems in this country. Now, some of that'll work for you because you're going to say that you magically fixed an economy that you didn't by just taking credit for the status quo that you now attack. But what are you going to do about what you put in people's hearts and in their heads about one another and about who the enemy within is? And yeah, you got some Latino men voting for you, but you got a lot of people looking at Latino men in a way that they shouldn't be. What are you going to do about that? What are you going to do with your power? What are you going to do when you get attacked? What do you do when you get disrespected? Are you going to be thinking about us? Or are you going to be thinking about yourself? I heard you say that you're going to work your ass off. Yeah, but for who and for what? J.D. Vance, look, we know he's malleable, right? You don't go from thinking someone's the next Hitler to thinking, that they're the next savior with a logical continuum. That's just about opportunism. So where's the opportunity for him now? Now what? Does the left get back to focusing on economic issues that help working families, that help people who need help? Do they start picking up on the issues that serve the better interests of the majority in this country and not just niche special interests? Not that minorities don't matter. They do. We are all minorities in one way or another in this country. It is the melting pot. That's what she is. That's what she's going to be for the foreseeable future. Thankfully, it is our secret sauce. White fright is also real and has been played to and exaggerated to perverse effect, but effectively. What happened? Easy. So what? What does it mean to what you're about, what you were about, what you will be about? Now what? What are you going to do about what just happened? Now, God forbid you take that to mean what we were worried about with Trump, that he wouldn't respect the process, that it wouldn't be a transfer of power, that he would use violence, that he would incite assholes to go into the streets. That didn't happen. He won. And the process, by all indications, was legitimate and really exceptional. Exceptional in its execution. And the message was delivered. The people have spoken. That should be the first line of this. The people have spoken. The process worked. Will you respect it the way you thought he would not? And if so, how? Are you just going to start investigating him again and call for him to be sentenced? That would be a mistake. Listen to the Jews. Listen to the people who usually vote Democratic and didn't. You can't have people running around on campus and making anti-Semitism okay in a way that would never go for any other minority group. It's not okay when it's the Jews. I know there aren't that many, but you don't think that New York City outcome, that she only got 68% of the vote, you don't think that's a message? You should not forsake a group of people on what matters to them most. A lot of the Jews in this country may look white. They're not. They're a hunted minority. And you catered on the left to those who want them gone. You better think about that. You better think about what your party is. So must Trump. He was delivered a mandate, but a lot of it he's got to ignore. Tear it down, destroy the deep state, get rid of all of these people, and round them all up. It's not going to work legally. It's not going to work practically. It's not going to work morally. It's not going to work ethically. You're not going to round up 14 million people. Where are you going to put them? How are you going to do it? Well, we went to the moon. Has nothing to do with going to the fucking moon. Has to do with going what's right. We didn't blow up the moon. What happened is easy. So what? Meaning, what does it create as a change condition in you as a movement, but also as an individual? And that takes us to the now what, man. This social media is killing us. It's all exaggerated effect. And the people who are blowing up on this platform are not necessarily part of the solution. Many of them are part of the problem. So what are you going to do? You as an individual, you as the Democrats, you as the Republicans, and you as Donald John Trump. This is your legacy phase. You will never run again. What will you do with this time? Who will you try to impress? How will you be remembered? That is the burden of the moment. How will you meet it? You know my attitude. Worry is wasted. Whatever's going to come, let it come, just like this election did. And now, let's get after it. I'm Chris Cuomo. Thank you for subscribing and following here to the Chris Cuomo Project. Thank you very much for the love for News Nation. Yeah, we did get it first. We did get it early. And that's because we had a great partnership with DDHQ and because we weren't afraid of the results. And we had no preference except to get it right. I'll see you on News Nation. I'll see you here. And if you want it without the ads, join the Substack. I'm using part of the money to help people get long COVID treatment. It's only $5 a month. Most of these other things are more expensive. I'll see you soon.